In the middle of the sea, a ship uses a crane to lift a 500-year-old iron coffin out of the water. While watching on Discord, the men open the coffin and Quinn emerges from inside. Quinn has survived for centuries because she is immortal. Meanwhile, in Croatia, a team of immortal mercenaries is on a mission to stop an arms smuggler. Andy lost her immortality 6 months ago, but she still continues to work with her eternal friends. The group surveils the smuggler's house and waits for an opportunity to act. When a guard approaches the base of a tree to relieve himself, Andy and former CIA agent James immediately spring into action, cornering and knocking the man out. Meanwhile, Nikki and Joe sneak in through the garden and start fighting with 2 guards. Then the couple fires into the air and steals 2 cars, causing the guards in the house to chase after them. The guards jump on their motorcycles and begin to pursue them. This leaves the door unguarded, allowing Andy and James to enter. But soon after, more guards appear and open fire. The pair is forced to take cover immediately. Andy grabs a weapon from the wall and starts fighting the men. Within seconds, she takes them all down with sword strikes. Then she goes outside, re-enters through a different door, and catches the guards off guard from behind, quickly killing them as well. Meanwhile, former Marine Niall approaches by boat along the river and takes out the guards at the back of the house with gunfire. When the boat crashes into the stairs, Niall jumps out and continues on foot. She keeps firing, killing the guards who are chasing her. Then she climbs the wall and reaches the balcony. Just then, a bullet hits her in the neck. But thanks to her healing power, the wound closes immediately. Inside, Andy and James are also fighting off the relentless waves of enemies. With bullets, sword strikes, and punches, they take them down one by one. At that moment, Niall jumps from the balcony, grabs onto a flag, swings herself along the wall, and crashes in through a window. She joins her friends and kills the last guard. Meanwhile, the chase on the mountain road is still ongoing. Just as they are about to turn back, a new enemy vehicle appears. A collision occurs and the heroes fall into the sea, so they are forced to swim to the shore. Meanwhile, the team at the house goes upstairs and continues to take out the guards in their way. Eventually, they find the arms smuggler. They fire a few shots and knock the man off the balcony. He crashes to the ground and dies. In the evening, James receives a call from a friend at the CIA. His friend tells him that the person they killed was not actually the real arms smuggler, but just one of the pawns. Then he sends James a photo from a security camera. The real target is Discord. Niall immediately recognizes this face because she has seen him in her dreams. She sees a vision of him killing a man in a library and stealing his books. The next day in Paris, Booker, who was kicked out of the team by Andy for his betrayal, has turned to drinking. When he returns home drunk, he notices that the door is open and immediately draws his gun. But inside, Quinn is waiting for him. She takes Booker captive along with the man beside her. Booker is taken to a beach house. Quinn says it was easy to find him because he has been wandering around drunk carelessly for months. She asks where Andy is, but Booker swears he doesn't know. Quinn is furious because she thought Andy had fallen into a trap just like she did. But while Andy is free and living her life, Quinn was left chained at the bottom of the sea for centuries. Meanwhile, the team splits up to take a short break. In France, Joe tells Nikki that he wants to be alone for a while. Although Nikki seems to accept this, he realizes that Joe is lying. He secretly follows Joe, taking Neil along with him. When they corner him in the city center, they discover that Joe was actually bringing food to Booker. Nikki and Joe start arguing because of Booker's betrayal. But Neil intervenes. Neil had checked Booker's house and couldn't find him. However, he found traces of blood on the floor and walls. Meanwhile, in Korea, Andy and James visit Tua. Tua is another immortal who once refused to join the team. Andy suspects that the man from Neil's dream is Tua and brings up the subject. Upon this, Tua takes them to his underground library. Here, he keeps records about the immortals. However, it is noticed that some books are missing. This proves that what Neil saw was a real vision. Tua explains that the books were stolen by Discord. Discord is the first known immortal. He and Tua were once close friends. In fact, 5 centuries ago, they watched together as Andy and Quinn were captured by a devout cult. Tua begged to save them, but Discord turned his back and walked away without doing anything. Tua was able to save Andy, but it was too late for Quinn. She had already been chained and thrown into the ocean. Over the centuries spent in hiding, Discord amassed wealth and power, believing this was the way to protect himself from humanity's cruelty. That's why he collaborates with arms dealers. Tua doesn't know why he has resurfaced, but confirms that he stole the books chronicling the team's history. Andy, on the other hand, admits that she has lost her immortality and worries that Discord may have found out about it. A few hours later, the team returns to their safe house and Tua meets the others. After sharing information, Joe receives a call from Booker. Booker wants to meet. Nikki and Joe pick him up and bring him home. but no one is particularly happy to see him. Booker tells Andy that Quinn has been released and that he brought a letter from her. In the letter, Quinn asks Andy to meet her at their old special meeting place. Andy wastes no time and jumps into the car. Neil, on the other hand, follows her and convinces her to let him come along as backup. Inside the house, Booker tries to act friendly, but Nikki reminds him that there's no guarantee he won't betray them again. During the journey, Andy remembers the day she lost Quinn. That day, as the place they were in burned, she lost control to her anger and tried to kill an innocent man. However, the memory of Quinn stopped her. When they take a break at a gas station, Andy confesses that she's afraid Quinn won't love her anymore. This is very surprising for Neil, because he has never seen Andy so anxious or scared before. The next day in Italy, Andy meets with Quinn. Neil, on the other hand, watches them from a distance. Andy apologizes and says that she tried hard to find her, but the ocean was just too vast and deep. Quinn, however, rejects Andy's offer to join her team. She makes it clear that after what people have done to her, she doesn't want to fight for them. When Andy makes it clear that she will never abandon her friends, Quinn walks away. Andy follows her and tells Neil to stay behind. Just then, Neil sees discord coming out of a building. Andy tries to stop Quinn, but Quinn defends herself and the two start fighting in a narrow alley. Although Andy says she doesn't want to fight her, the conflict escalates. Both women are skilled fighters and use their surroundings to their advantage, landing heavy blows on each other. As the fight continues, Neil steps in and warns them that Discord is behind them. Discord just smiles and walks away. Neil follows him. At that moment, Quinn says Neil's name and Andy realizes that Quinn was saved by Discord. So, the two of them are actually working together. The fight flares up again. Quinn rips off the necklace that Andy gave her as a gift years ago. Although Andy chases after her, she loses her in the crowd. Neil enters a church and finds Discord there. Discord belittles Andy and her team, saying that he even witnessed the crucifixion of Jesus. He sees they're helping people despite everything as foolishness. Moreover, he claims that he and Neil are connected and proves it by showing the identical birthmarks on their arms. According to Discord, Neil will be the last immortal. However, he disappears before giving any further explanation. The team returns to the safe house and discusses what happened, but they can't figure out how to move forward. Meanwhile, Andy remembers the day Quinn gave her the necklace and is overcome with deep sadness alone. Tua asks Booker if Neil has ever hurt Andy. Booker explains that on the day they met, there was a fight between them and Neil stabbed Andy. At this, Tua recalls an old legend. Neil possesses the power to eliminate immortality. She says that's why Discord wants to use him. She also adds that an immortal wounded by Neil can transfer their immortality to someone else before completely losing their power. Meanwhile, at an airport, Discord continues to try to sway Quinn. He plants the idea of taking revenge on Andy's team in her mind. Quinn openly says that she already hates humanity and wants revenge. Discord agrees with her on this point. After a while, a truck appears in front of the nuclear facility in Indonesia. The guards immediately open fire, but the truck crashes into the gate without slowing down, causing a small explosion. While the guards are stunned, thinking the driver is dead, Quinn emerges from the truck. She quickly regains her composure and takes someone hostage to draw attention to herself. Meanwhile, Discord's men open fire from behind and kill all the guards. Then the group crashes other vehicles into the building as well. Inside, there is widespread panic. As Discord's men advance inside, Quinn also heads deeper into the facility. Meanwhile, Booker sees Neil training outside and wants to fight him. After watching their skills, Tua can't hold back and joins the fight as well. The fight between the three of them reveals just how skilled they are. All of them are highly adept at fighting multiple opponents at once. However, at the end of the clash, Neil accidentally cuts off Booker's arm and apologizes. No one makes a big deal out of it, but in private, Booker shows Tua that the wound isn't healing. This confirms the theory. He is no longer immortal. Booker asks Tua not to tell Andy about this fact. Shortly after, James calls everyone to a meeting. He shows the security footage he obtained from the nuclear facility. The footage shows Quinn and Discord's men taking over the facility and planting a bomb on the nuclear core. The team realizes that this is actually a trap. However, since a possible nuclear explosion would lead to an even greater disaster, they have no choice but to go. Meanwhile, Joe confesses to Nikki that he's afraid. The two embrace each other. They draw strength from knowing that their love will never end. Within a few hours, the team reaches the facility on their motorcycles. James stays outside and guides the team through their earpieces using his scanning device. As the group moves forward inside, they realize that small bombs have been placed everywhere. Soon they are surrounded by Discord's men. Since they're close to the explosives, no one dares to use their weapons. Thus, hand-to-hand combat begins. At that moment, a sudden gunshot causes a small explosion. Nikki is seriously injured and falls to the ground. However, she recovers quickly. When they reach the control room, they are once again surrounded by a group of men. The fight breaks out again. The violence intensifies. Although they manage to defeat their enemies, the doors close and the trio falls into a trap. Suddenly, the room begins to fill with liquid nitrogen. They become immobilized by freezing. After a while, Discord's men arrive, stuff their bodies into sacks, and take them away. In the room where the nuclear core is located, Andy is grabbed by two people and brought down with an electric shock. Neil makes a dangerous leap to save him, but the pipe he grabs breaks. He falls to the ground and heavy debris collapses on top of him. Blinded by rage, Andy takes down the men who captured him one by one. But when he looks down, he can't see Neil. Meanwhile, outside, James notices the approaching enemies and opens fire. But there are too many of them. He is quickly captured. Andy realizes that Discord is controlling the doors, so she smashes the security cameras. Meanwhile, Booker notices that her wounds are healing and confesses that he gave her immortality. A new shootout breaks out in the next corridor. Andy's arm is injured, but when the wound heals immediately, she realizes that what Booker said is true. More enemies come at them. In response, Booker runs through the door and lets it close behind him. This way, Andy can continue the mission while Booker chooses to distract the enemies. Despairing, Andy tries everything to open the door but fails. Meanwhile, Booker kills all his enemies and loses his life as well. Crawling out from under the rubble, Niall reaches the core and finds Quinn there. She tries to explain to her that Discord is using her, but Quinn attacks. The two women engage in a fierce fight. Although they fight evenly for a while, in the end, Niall slashes Quinn's abdomen and takes away her immortality. As Quinn looks at her wound in shock, Discord suddenly appears behind her. He stabs his sword into Niall, and his men take her away as well. While the team is completely scattered, the doors open, and Andy continues on her way. Soon after, she finds the main bomb and Quinn holding the trigger beside it. A brief conversation takes place between them about the ideals they shared in their youth and who they have become now. This conversation convinces Quinn not to detonate the bomb. Seeing that Quinn's wound isn't healing, Andy suddenly hears a strange sound and runs outside. Discord is transporting all the bodies with his men using 2 helicopters. Andy makes a huge leap. She breaks the helicopter's window with her axe and grabs onto the outside. Even though the helicopter maneuvers to shake her off, Andy keeps climbing and reaches the pilots. However, one of the pilots pulls out his gun and fires. Andy is seriously wounded and falls onto the facility's roof. A few minutes pass until her wound closes, and during this time, one of the helicopters manages to escape. The other one returns and drops off Discord. Discord reaches out his hand to Andy, inviting her to join him. Andy jumps once again, but this time she doesn't stay on the helicopter. She pushes Discord down. The two of them fall to the ground together. Discord tells the helicopter to stay away and engages in a one-on-one fight with Andy. Both of them are masters with the sword. They deliver powerful blows one after another. During the clash, Andy notices that Discord's wounds are not healing. He is no longer immortal. From the very beginning, Discord's plan was to use Neil to take the team's immortality for himself. The fight continues. This time, Discord gains the upper hand. He stabs Andy in the torso with his sword and brings him to the ground. As Discord escapes by helicopter, Andy swears to save his friends. Sometime later, Andy searches Thua's library but can't find anything useful. On the other hand, he heals Quinn and the rift between them comes to an end. The two gear up again and decide to fight together to defeat Discord.